Good morning, gentlemen. It's a wonderful time. And before I start, I make a request to you. If you like my channel, or even if you don't like it, please subscribe to it to get a different viewpoint. I should be very obliged if you could subscribe, like, and share this with your friends and others. Today, gentlemen, I'm going to get cracking on a very different topic altogether, and that concerns India. If you remember, a couple of years back, the Chinese Institute of Strategic Studies has published a report on India. And that report was that India would break up into a number of states because of inherent anachronism in the Hindu religion, the caste system and other things which are detrimental to society, and that includes language as well. I don't agree with this, but then we must take cognizance of what the enemy says. And let's examine what India is at the moment, where it stands. And if there are any mistakes, this must be rectified. The first thing I come to is Bangladesh. Now, India, at great cost, saved Bangladesh in 1971. With the result, there was independence. That was the time when Operation Searchlight had been launched by the Pakistan Army. And in that, the Razakars and the Pakistan Army were let loose on the Bengali population. Girls were kidnapped, raped, and many of the girls were captured and kept in trenches so that the Pakistani soldiers could have their fun. And thousands of them were pregnant when the Pakistan Army signed the instrument of surrender in the Dhaka race course. And that's part of history and can't be forgotten. But after that, the Indian intelligence agencies, that is RAW, IB, and military intelligence have been found tapping. If you recollect, Begum Hasina had made a visit to Delhi twice in 14 days, just before the violent revolution took over. I wouldn't say revolution, the students' agitation took over, and she had to flee the country. I think she had an inkling of what was coming, and she had come to meet the Indian Prime Minister Modi to seek assurances that India would stand by Bangladesh. I think Modi at that time didn't have a clue, because the intelligence agencies never told him anything, and that is a failure of Indian intelligence. The Americans, that is the deep state America, under Donald Lu, was planning to overthrow Sheikh Hasina. They wanted a leader there who's more pliable to America and not to India. And that result was, this planning was going on, and the Indian intelligence didn't know anything about it. It's a big drawback, and we came to know about it only when Begum Hasina fled the country and landed in Delhi, thanks to the Indian Air Force. It's nothing to feel proud of. In politics, you have to be one step ahead of the enemy. You remember the famous foreign minister Talleyrand and Machelin. They were ones who believed in being one step of the enemy, one step ahead of the enemy. And India failed miserably in Bangladesh. And that result, now what is happening is, you can see yourself, the Hindu minority being attacked in Bangladesh, temples burnt, and the man whom they have brought in, the Americans, that is Muhammad Yunus, he is a maverick. He's won the Nobel Prize thanks to the Clintons. He's had a lot of reputation in the American elite, and he doesn't want any more elections. And he is an out-and-out pro-Islamic individual. He has removed all the the bans on the extremist Muslim organizations there. I wouldn't mention them here, they're not worth mentioning. But then, as a result, you can see, gentlemen, what's happened is that Bangladesh has gone out of the Indian orbit, out. And even if it later comes back, the scars of this are not going to heal for a long time. An association of 54 years or 53 years with the Indians has become zero. It's very sad that Bangladesh should do it. And now there are second thoughts, and we are talking a lot of glowing around that the Arakan army is advancing and all that. I think Arakan army is advancing and taken a few villages on the border with Bangladesh. That's about all. We are not in great strength. And to make a lot of hue and cry about the Arakan army, I think is a lot of BS. Now we come to the reactions of the Indians. The reaction should have been extreme, in the sense when Begum Hasina was moving out, there was an action that should have been taken, something like Israel does. And why we couldn't emulate Israel? That I will also tell you why. Just a minute later. Hold on, listen to my video. We did not react. That was the time to react when the Indian para brigades should have been parachuted into Dhaka, to the cantonment, and taken the army headquarters as hostage. That should have been done. Nothing was done. And India was sitting on the fence as usual, trying to be friends with the new regime. There was a letter of congratulations, I think, also to Muhammad Yunus. I don't know why the hell it should have been sent. The Indian ambassador couldn't do anything. He was just sitting there and attending the swearing in. These were not the signs that India has great potential to be a world power. No, sir. The Israelis have sorted out their enemies, and we should have sorted out the Bengalis at that time. We didn't do it. And now the Gori press is going around talking, Modi's done this thing, Modi's done that thing, and he's playing a deep game against Bangladesh. What bloody game is he playing? He's playing no game. He's letting events take their course, and months have elapsed, and nothing has been done in Bangladesh. Bangladesh has re-established relations with Pakistan. You never know, there may be reunification. And because Bengalis, many of them who were not even born at that time in 71, are keen to align with the Islamic State than with the Hindu state. So they are prepared to have run the risk. Then we have that very sad spectacle of Bangladesh not paying money to the Adani group for the electricity which has been supplied. Obviously, Adani has cut short the electricity, and Bangladesh retaliated by buying electricity from Nepal. Now, how does Nepal send the electricity other than the Indian grid, and India allowed it? So these are the things. I mean, the situation is that India likes to be correct. We are doing the correct thing. That is not the way. In world politics, you have to have a sledgehammer, make your presence felt, and that the Indians are not doing it. Soft power diplomacy leads nowhere, I can tell you. It's a hard, disciplined diplomacy that goes forward, strengthened by military might. India has cut its own feet by having the Agnipath scheme coming in. Many regiments, the Gurkha regiments, are all understaffed now. People from Nepal not joining in. Who wants to come just for 4 years? You may pay them 6 lakhs, 8 lakhs, nothing. But a man has got to live for 75 or 80 years. What the hell is he going to do for the next 60 years? In the subcontinent where you have very little opportunities, very little chances of getting other jobs. And if you guarantee jobs to these people, then you're taking away the jobs which would have gone to the other Indians or the other Nepalese. It's very sad. I think whoever advised Mr. Modi on this committed a great crime against the Indian nation. Now, the second part which we are coming to is Pakistan. Pakistan, of course, is the enemy of India. They say so. But part of it is there to the inherent hatred of the Hindus. Now, we must distinguish between the countries of the Middle East who have no hatred against Hindus, and they are going ahead and having a confabulation, having engagement. You can see there's a wonderful temple, the big one, the biggest in the Middle East, which has been built by the Hindus in Abu Dhabi. But in Pakistan, when Imran Khan wanted to allot some land in Rawalpindi, I think in the capital, for a Hindu temple, there was an agitation and the government had to cancel any idea of having a Hindu temple there, when the Hindus constitute a big minority in Pakistan. The Indian policy against Pakistan is also seriously flawed. Flawed in the sense, for the last 55 years, from the time when the last war took place in 71, India has not been able to dominate Pakistan. Pakistan probably realizes its vulnerability, built up a nuclear arsenal, and that is a terrible threat to the Indians. The question arises, what do we do here? Obviously, we have to isolate Pakistan, and just by saying that we will not go to Pakistan, not play cricket around that, really has little meaning. For long years, India was giving most favored nation treatment in trade to Pakistan. I couldn't understand why, when Pakistan was not interested. So we have to have a battle with Pakistan, there's no doubt about it. And if Pakistan chooses to bite the bullet and fight India, well, so be it. Similarly, with Bangladesh, we have to ensure that our interests are protected. And in Pakistan also, we must ensure this thing happens. And for that, we have to have a different approach to America. See, let's accept the fact that America is the global power in the world. So when you're in the water and the alligator is floating around, you don't fight with the alligator. America is the alligator. Look at the way they have destabilized the Bangladesh regime. They even destabilized Pakistan when they got Imran Khan removed. And they are in the deep state. Their deep state is everywhere. The only place where they have run against a bulwark is Russia. They have not been able to subdue Russia. But Russia has been finished. Finished in the sense it's been fighting a war for the last 2 years plus in Ukraine, and it's definitely telling on the economy, the morale of the people. Their patriotism is tremendous, but patriotism doesn't bring you victory. So, gentlemen, India should have had a change of course, cooperated more with America, and not tried to say that we are having strategic independence. I remember the American ambassador saying that in the present world there is nothing like strategic independence. Strategic independence is that thing when you are totally independent yourself militarily in the goods you may manufacture and the goods that you use. That means you have your fighter planes made in India, you have your tanks made in India, you have everything made in India, which is not happening here. The sad part is, the Indians made a plane, that is the Tejas, and that is not flying because the engines are not coming from America. So what are the use of spending millions of dollars on that plane? And the net result is zero. The same thing is happening with all the weapons. India is the largest importer of weapons in the world. And when you're importing weapons, it doesn't mean that you're going to be great power. I have yet to come across a nation which by importing weapons became a great power. We should have followed the path of China. And for the time being, India should have lied low and allied with the Americans. The Russians' economy is finished. They can't sustain you, but the Americans can sustain you. And what America was looking forward to was a staunch ally that was required. Look at the way South Korea and Japan put the eggs in the basket with the Americans, and they have thrived economically. The economy of Japan has gone up. Korea has gone up. Look at the income. I was attending a dinner with a friend, in Bombay, in a Korean restaurant run by a Korean lady. And after the dinner, she had a chat with me and she told me that in Korea, the economy is so good, that is South Korea, that if you turn the age of 75, the government sends a person to look after you, make your food, and then go away after looking after you. That is the strength of the economy. While in India, we have millions just running hungry here and there. And whether you got the per capita income going up, but nothing compared to what is in America. Now a per capita income is just about $2,200 or something. While in America, I think it is $60,000. Where the hell do you go? 30 times more than India. Even a country like Turkey has got a per capita income more than 6 times. Kazakhstan 6 times. So this is a point to see. If India is economically not strong, you cannot be a global power. China, with a similar population, has a per capita income of about 5 to 6 times more than India. I mean, how did it happen? And the Chinese were much more poorer than India. In 1948, you recollect, in China, not even bicycle was made, while India had a steel plant that, cars were manufactured, locomotives were manufactured. India was way ahead. And who squandered it away? The Indians. So, gentlemen, these are the points which are very, very important. And now, India is having a detente with China. One should be very, very careful. The Chinese are now under pressure from America. They're looking for ways in which they can save their backside. They are planning an invasion of Taiwan. So they can't fight the Americans in Taiwan if India is breathing down their neck in Ladakh or in Nepal, that is Arunachal Pradesh. So they have had this detente. And mind you, it's a very, very tricky thing. The Indian government has been taken for a ride, in my view. Shouldn't have agreed for this disengagement with China. The aim should be to finish China and try and finish it. And the only nation in the world that can do this is the United States. So US was looking for a partner against China, and India has backed out. And now India has got a detente and people are whistling. We have won a great victory against China. We have done this, we have done that. There's a disengagement, the troops are going back. All this is transitory. Moment China has finished the danger in the Pacific and the South China Sea, they turn back to India. They don't want India as a rival. China will always remain India's enemy. I wonder whether this thinking is on, because now the strategic independence that we are going to have a detente with China. I mean, that is the most dangerous thing you can think of. Now, Russia is the enigma. India has put their eggs in the Russian basket. But Russia is finished. I don't think, even if the war is stopped, Russia will be able to come back to the old glory of the Soviet Union. You can't expect Russia to come back. So in the neighborhood, India is in trouble. And look at Nepal. Now that is another thing. It's something which belies expectation. The Nepalis have the same racial stock as the Indians. They are the only Hindu country in the world along with India. And yet they put the eggs in the Chinese basket. And they are printing notes which show that part of Nepal, which is with India, is actually with Nepalis. That is the Kalachowki area. The Nepalese Prime Minister, which always made a visit to India first, now has gone to China first. And what do the Nepalese think they'll get from China? They must see that they got nothing, that Pakistanis got nothing from China. The Belt and Road Scheme is floundering. The Chinese want their pound of flesh, like Shylock in Shakespeare's drama. He wanted his pound of flesh. So they want their pound of flesh. The way they sorted out Sri Lanka by taking the Hambapota port for 99 years is an eye-opener. I think Nepal should be very, very wary of the Chinese. And it won't be a surprise to me if at some stage the entire Nepal follows the Chinese into their orbit. So be very careful of this. The Nepalese, I hope the Nepalese are clear about it. But the point is, India seems to be losing at every stage. That is basically for lack of aggression, lack of power projection, and lack of realities. It's a sad part that in India, much of the period which I'm talking of was ruled when the Congress Party was in power. It's a sad occurrence in history that Pandit Nehru and all these leaders really helped in the destruction of India. That is a fact. They followed policies which would ensure that India never becomes a global power. One. Number two, they followed policies in which India would always be divisive and they would be able to win votes by manipulation of the minority community. So that thing has been put at rest in 2014. But Mr. Modi was again very complacent, and that's a danger. In the 2024 election, he lost over 65 seats in parliament. It's a very sad story. And talking of 400, they ended up at 240. And then he wasted 10 years in power. The Waqf board, the Uniform Civil Code, dealing with these maverick farmers from Punjab. All this should have been done when Modi had the absolute majority. Now he is perforced to send everything to the JPC, and then everything goes for a toss. He can't even get the one election for the entire country, states and parliament bill passed. That has also gone to the JPC. So he doesn't have the majority, because to amend the constitution you need two-thirds majority, and from where Modi is going to get it. He had it in the last elections when people were on his side. Parliament was doing well, but he floundered. So he let India down, and he's the man who's leading India now against China and Russia and other countries, leading India forward. There are a lot of good things he's done, I'll say that, there's no doubt about it. But the fact remains that India is now on tenterhooks. I've already given you the exact position what's happening as far as India is concerned. India need to be very wary of the Chinese who are breathing down India's neck. They may be a detente now, but it's only a matter of time before China takes out its claws. They'll come out. Just watch. In the bargain, I think America would be the better bet. Not that the Americans are great friends of India. They want India as a junior partner. But then India is a junior partner. How can we be equivalent to the Americans in terms of economy, in terms of industry? There's nothing. And I remember there was a time when Donald Trump insisted that tariffs be reduced on the goods being coming from America, and Modi was not ready to do it. So now the cat's out of the bag. India is going to have real trouble with Donald Trump as president as far as trade is concerned. So gentlemen, I think I have made the position clear. If you like the video, please share it with your friends, subscribe and come back for more. But at the same time, gentlemen, it's a sadness that India is surrounded by a hostile neighborhood, and we have a hostile fifth column inside India also. The R finds a man, Mao Zedong, has made a name and he projected China as great power. Gandhi made a name and projected India as a meek nation. You know, the term meek and mild Hindu was coined because of Gandhi. So well, gentlemen, I hope you understand what I'm saying. I think I'll close now and say goodbye and God bless. At the same time, I will close with Jai Hind.